Hey guys, we're at Highline, SeaTac Botanical Gardens. We're about to take a look around, show you guys some cool plants. This place has some cool history to it. Yeah, they got some awesome plants. Let's go check it out.
Hey guys, I'm Tim.
And I'm Sean.
And I'm Matt, and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. We want to give you a little bit of tour of some places we went during the Maple Society. I think you're going to love this one.
Today we're at the Highland SeaTac Botanical Garden, and specifically the Japanese garden that's there.
This is a really, really interesting garden because the story that we were told was, and this comes from Don Brooks of Kubota Garden, who helped with the movement of this garden. This garden was at a different location, and when they were expanding the airport, they had to move this garden, but they didn't want to get rid of the garden and they wanted to maintain it. So they moved this to a new location, and every single piece of this garden, every single rock was documented and numbered and moved to this new location and put back together like a jigsaw puzzle to be exactly the way it was before.
That is crazy. I mean, could you imagine moving an entire garden, but not only moving an entire garden, but trying to move it and piece it back like it was? I mean, that takes a lot of skill, a lot of work, and it just continues to instill that vision that the original creators of this garden still had for this garden, even though they moved it.
I love that they kept the integrity in place of this. You know, I love Japanese gardening, and this really has that kind of essence of Japan feel to it. I've been to many gardens in Japan, and this definitely gives you those Japanese vibes. Like, it feels like you got into a Japanese garden. It feels like one of the gardens that may be around a temple in Japan. It's got a lot of nicely pruned conifers, but also the maples to kind of create that aesthetic. You know, one of the things in Japanese gardening, often the maples are behind the conifers like this, so they create that essence of a skyline, or, you know, a changing beauty of the autumn sky, or even the spring sky behind the mountaintops, which the conifers really put in place the mountaintops. So a lot of times it's kind of like bonsai. You're recreating that beauty that's seen in nature in the garden.
And we're filming this in October of 2023, late October in Washington. So the maples were just really starting to really hit that fall color here at the Japanese garden, and it was extremely beautiful.
You guys should definitely check out the Maple Society if you're not already members. There's a lot of great people to meet there and a lot of great tours. I mean, we kind of film these on the fly while we're walking around with the Maple Society, but a really outstanding garden.
The use of water in Japanese gardens is an element that adds that extra dimension in the garden. You can not only visually see the garden, but you can hear and appreciate and have that calming effect in the garden. These waterfalls just really hit it and draw your attention to this garden to really go in there and appreciate it and relax.
Really is a four-season garden. There's some azaleas, there's some hardscaping, the evergreens, the maples in fall color. I think anytime you go see this garden, you're going to find some new aspects of it to enjoy. A lot of work goes into this too. I mean, Don was talking about all the different pruning that goes into maintaining these shapes, all these topiaries. A lot of work goes into that, and it just creates an overall aesthetic that definitely has that Japanese element to it. A lot of large lace leaves in this collection too, which were really nice. Some of those really starting to show out. There's not much more relaxing to me than maples and waterfalls and rock work. Love it.
They'd used an ornatum type that was pretty much used in multiple places across this garden, which really tied the garden together and gave the same fall color at the exact same time.
Gotta love a ginkgo getting into fall color, the big ginkgo peeking over everything in the back. Just an outstanding, you know, not a huge garden. I mean, you can do a lot in a small landscape like this. This wasn't something that was acres and acres, but it caught your attention. It drew you in, even in a small space.
Draws you in so much that you see all these families going around and the kids getting involved in the garden and posing for pictures, and you just watch everyone enjoying themselves in this really peaceful, beautiful place.
One of my favorite things about Japanese gardens are the walkways over the water. I think it's so cool. Sometimes you'll have the steps that misalign, so you have to walk from each step to each step, but there's always kind of these intricate bridges and walkways that kind of make their pathway through the garden. It's important to think about, Sean did a whole video on this, but creating that movement in the garden with pathways, and that's something the Japanese don't miss on. I mean, they create a lot of high drama movement in your garden just by where simply you're having to walk. You're driven on a path through this garden. You can't really get out from the way you're meant to be on this garden. But the path it's taken you on is interesting in every element of it.
I love looking down on the ground and seeing the leaves, especially the ginkgo leaves down there on the ground. It is so amazing to be able to appreciate the fall color, not only in the trees, but when they fall to the ground, it just adds that fall color and just draws your interest all across the garden.
There's the homie John O'Brien, did a top 5 with him. Sean jumped in on that. A lot of great top 5s were filmed at the Maple Society event. There's so many fun people, and whenever possible, we love to hop in and talk to people about their favorite plants. So you'll definitely see some people you recognize when you're walking through some of these gardens with us. A lot of great people in the Maple Society.
Here we've got a big Seryu Japanese maple on the outside of this Japanese garden. I mean, it's cool to see all these trees just sort of put together to create this dynamic that everybody can go enjoy.
Yeah, this one, wasn't in fall color yet. Soon that'll be a blaze red and really a nice skyline behind these trees. Seryu is a great way to use that because it's going to get big and tall, so it's easy to create a beautiful skyline, aesthetic with a tree that gets that size.
This is one of my favorite things to do on old lace leaves is get underneath and look up at the branch structure and appreciate the beauty where you can see the age of that tree, especially when it's in fall color and you get that orange background. I mean, it's just such a fun way to get in and appreciate those bigger, older lace leaf Japanese maples.
Such a great garden. It really makes you feel like you're part of the garden, not just walking through a garden, looking at a garden, but you actually are part of it.
I love the high walls around this garden too. It definitely makes it feel like a room. I like when gardens have different rooms to them. Just so much going on here. It's a great experience, and I think it just makes it more personal. You have to get close to the plants. You have to get close to what you're looking at.
I love seeing all those trees that just weep and stick over the water.
Yeah, that windswept element. It's takes a lot of work to create a lot of that look. I mean, you can achieve it with Japanese maples, but all those pines are meticulously pruned and shaped, and I just love it. Love the whole aesthetic of it. Imagine some nice koi in this garden in the spring. Just awesome. You know, every element of this is crafted, from the moss to the plants in between that take up space for the weeds, so you don't have a lot of weeds. And there's really a good use of some ornamental plants in this garden as well. You know, we talked about several of the cultivars, but they're also implementing azaleas to add spring interest. They're implementing evergreens to keep the structure in the garden even in the winter. The maples are providing that fall interest. There's grasses. There's all kinds of things to keep those elements of texture and color going. And when you got this kind of rock work, you really can't find a bad place to plant something. Everything in the garden looks in place when you have this kind of hardscape. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this tour with us today. We love bringing you along whenever possible on some of our adventures. This was just one of the many videos we filmed during the Maple Society meeting, and we hope this, kind of relaxed your day a little bit.
Yeah, it's just fun to be able to go back and see this garden again and be able to feel this appreciation for it all over again. And I hope you all are able to understand this Japanese garden, and maybe, you can think about trying to design something like this in your own yard.
Take care.
God bless.
Have a great day.